Hello everyone and a happy Friday. Today obviously I'm going to be telling you all about the romance books that I recommend. I've read 60 books this year and about 80% of them were romance. I think I have 9 books for you guys. I tried to get 10, but even though I did read a bit this year, a lot more than I generally do, I didn't have great success with loving a ton of the books that I read. My average rating on my app that I use gave my average rating a 2.6. Yeah, I didn't love a lot of books this year, but these are the romances that I would recommend. The first one is Most Valuable Player by A.M. Woody. This was my first book by this author. This book follows Cameron and Mason. Cameron is the jock, the football player who gets benched by his coach. He gets benched by his coach because he has bad grades and he needs to get those grades up with the help of a tutor, and his tutor ends up being Waterboy Mason, who just recently rejected him. Although it is a romance, it tackles very important topics. Maybe look up what those trigger warnings are. I kind of want to tell you, but if I tell you, it's a little bit of a spoiler. They were flawed characters and they ended up actually being given great development in the end, and you also just felt for these characters so much. But Mason had my heart and soul. He's such a sweetie. And the book is a really great coming of age story about learning how to love yourself and being comfortable in your own skin, learning acceptance not only with yourself but also with others. Really can't wait until I find more books by this author. Next one is Wedding Dashers by Heather McBreen. This is a debut novel and it was absolutely fantastic. Our main characters, Ada and Liam, I believe, follows Ada, who's her sister's bridesmaids, who finds herself stuck in London with her sister's soon-to-be husband's best man. If that made sense to you, I really hope it did. It makes sense to me, but I can't not look up my notes when I'm saying that that sentence because my brain just gets confused. Of course, they're both very important for this wedding, and so they need to make it on time. However, they are stuck in London, and they must figure out how to make it on time to this wedding. But of course, it is not all smooth sailing, and they have a little bit of a hard time getting to the wedding. This book is very fun. It has some humorous moments. I did give this book a 4 out of 5 stars, but it's such a fantastic debut that I kind of want to give it a 5, but I also recognize that not everything was my ideal romance, I guess, and I think that's mainly just some character things that happened with them, but nonetheless, I still did like both Ada and Liam. The conflict between them was sort of rooted in the fact that they both didn't like their friend and sister were getting married for multiple different reasons. And I think that was the thing that kind of turned me off from it initially. Really enjoyed the setting and I thought it was fun. It was cute, funny read. I did like how the third act breakup was done. It was more believable and it wasn't another misunderstanding that most romances seem to take. I hate that. Can't wait for another book by this author. Next is All Roads Lead Here, Mariana Zapata. I'm horrible with names. This was my first book by this author, and I always heard that this author has major slow burn romances, but this to me was not a slow burn romance. Most romances are always so fast and just hard for me to kind of love the romance because it is so fast. I don't like insta love. So I prefer slow burn romances, I guess. So if you have any other recommendations like this, please leave it down in the comments below because I will eat it up. It follows our female character Aurora, who ends up renting like a connecting house of sorts, like villa, something, apartment thing, from our male lead, and they kind of become neighbors in a way. And his rule for her is basically you can live there, just don't bother him and his teenage son. Which obviously, that's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen. She moved back to this place in Colorado because she wants to kind of, I guess you can say, properly grieve her mother and kind of reconnect with her mother by going on these hiking trails that her mother logged about in her journal. I enjoyed all the characters. I loved them all getting to know each other, especially Aurora getting to know his son. Just thought it was really layered. Really enjoyed the setting in Colorado. Moments were very, very funny. Her whole thing with the bats was hilarious. The next book is Friendshipped by Savannah Scott. This book obviously follows two best friends who are secretly in love with each other but will not confess their feelings because they don't want to ruin their friendship. Our female lead, I can't remember her name at this time, starts to go on these dating apps and starts dating men from these apps. The dating does not go well, and pretty much every time she goes on a date, Trevor, the male lead, consoles her sort of, and they kind of joke about each and every date, and he's kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say trying to get over her, but he has some stuff that has come up for him. His ex returns to town. This book kind of dragged on slightly, and that's the only reason why I got a 4 out of 5 stars. but I did like it. I like the friendship between them a lot, and I guess I honestly will say I preferred them as friends rather than romantic partners. A cute little rom-com. It had its moments where it was funny, and it was kind of like one of those mindless, easy to read, flip through the pages super fast kind of read. Next is The Selection by Kira Cass. I know people are going to be like, really? But yes, I am going to recommend this book. This book is a dystopian romance. 35 of these girls picked and basically put it into a competition to get the Prince Maxon, to fall in love with them so they can become his princess. It's kind of like the Bachelor, Bachelorette kind of thing. The reason I recommend this book personally is because it kind of gives you the sense of nostalgia because it is a 2012 dystopian. I personally really liked it for that reason, and because no, it wasn't a 5-star read. I give this book a 3 out of 5 stars, but it was a guilty pleasure read for me personally. It was super easy and super fun and fast to get through. It was just kind of like a mindless read, and I really enjoyed the trilogy. I do not recommend the next 2 books. As long as you accept that this book isn't going to be mind-blowing or anything, I think you could really enjoy this book. Next is Out of the Woods by Hannah Bonham Young. This book follows our 2 main characters who have been in a relationship since they were in high school. They are high school sweethearts, but obviously they're going through a little bit of a rough patch, and in order to kind of fix their relationship and just try one last time, they go on this couple retreat thing out in the woods. I found this book really entertaining. It was a great setting. I really loved the couple retreat aspect. I love romances that already have established couples in it because, you know, it's not even that you have to worry about how fast the romance goes. It's already established and everything makes sense. Their issues generally make sense, and then it's more believable, especially if they do not communicate well. It's still very annoying, but if they don't communicate well, it makes sense because their relationship has been struggling and is frayed and it needs assistance, and so it makes the miscommunication trope a little bit more understandable and digestible for me personally. I also really enjoyed getting to know the other couples that were on this retreat as well. It had a lot of fun moments, and obviously not every moment was smooth sailing because they're a couple that's trying to learn how to mend their relationship and kind of relearn each other and find out what each other is wanting in their lives. Next is Every Time You Go Away by Abigail Johnson. This is my second book by Abigail Johnson. I went to read her whole plethora of books. One of my favorite romances is Every Other Weekend by her, and this one is just as good. I actually think a little bit better than that one. This book follows our 2 main characters who were childhood friends who kind of got to know each other periodically as they grew up, and they would periodically kind of meet up when the male lead, Ethan, would be around, as he was coming and going and leaving because his mom has been dealing with addiction. So, you know, whenever his mother wanted to leave, he'd leave. Since Ethan has been back, I think it's been about 5 years, and 2 years ago, female lead Rebecca ended up getting in a car crash along with her father. Her father passed away, but the car crash also left her in a wheelchair. So Ethan comes back after 5 years of being gone, and so it's kind of a book about them learning to trust each other, specifically Rebecca learning how to trust Ethan. The book is also a great coming of age story. Both of the characters are getting ready to go into possibly college. Rebecca has a very overbearing mother, but at the same time her mother pays very little attention to her. And then Ethan is living with his grandparents across the street from her, and his mother is nowhere to be found, and so he's constantly worrying about her. He wants to take care of her as he always has done, and it's just a wonderful book. I highly recommend this book. I recommend anything by Abigail Johnson, even though I've only read 2 of her books, but I think pretty much anything that you pick up by her is going to be fantastic. Next is The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. This book is, I would say, more of a 3.7 out of 5 stars if I have to give it more of a precise rating. Oh, my knees are killing me. I'm so hooked. It's not my favorite by Christina Lauren, but I still think it is something I would recommend because I do think a lot of other people would like this book. This book is a fake marriage, fake dating kind of situation. Hold on, this is a big synopsis. It follows Anna and Liam, who in college agreed to take, and looking at my notes, who agreed to a fake marriage in order for him to be approved for housing, which I guess he could only be approved for if he had like a family. Anna could not afford housing, so he let her live there for free. So it was kind of like a win-win situation for both of them. And then they ended up signing divorce papers, or at least that's what she assumes. Years later, here comes Liam with a proposition for Anna, who, by the way, Liam is an heir to the 6th largest grocery chain thing. And he's getting ready to inherit $100 million. The only catch is he has to stay married for 5 years. Remember how I said she assumed that they were divorced? They're not divorced. He basically convinces her to continue to stay fake married with him and go to this island that his family's gonna be at for his sister's wedding. And in exchange, he gives her some money. Did like the setting of this romance. I did enjoy the aspect of the fake marriage. Generally, I don't, but I liked how this one was done. I do still think this could be someone's favorite Christina Lauren book if they gave it a chance. So that's why I'm recommending it, because I do recognize that this would be a book that a lot of people would eat up. The next book is a book that was featured in one of the videos that I did earlier this year, and that is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. The book follows our 2 main characters who share a flat. Basically, the male character works at night, the female character uses the flat during the day, and then gets switched around. When he comes home, she's gone at work, and so it kind of works perfectly for both of them in the end. And they always communicate each other via post-it notes, which I find very cute. The format, though, of this book may not be for everyone. Basically, Leon's POV is written a little strangely. It's kind of like written like bullet points. I come home, close door, I make dinner, the phone rings, I pick it up, it's Sally. It's done that way because we learn about Leon through Tiffy. It's kind of like we're getting the post-it note POV of Leon, and we learn more about him as at the same time that Tiffy does. This book, I would say, is Tiffy's story, not Tiffy and Leon's story. I think that's why Beth O'Leary did this writing style, and I think it fits it to a T. In the end, for me personally, it really worked. I know for everyone it might not work, but if you're willing to give it a chance, you never know. The characters I thought were really great. Obviously, I do think in the end, though, because it is Leon's perspective is written in that way, it does make getting to know him very slow and a little hard to kind of connect with him at times. However, I think by the end, I was satisfied with what I knew of him. I also really enjoyed Tiffy and her struggles. This book also does have a little bit of some serious topics in there as well. I really liked hers and Leon's friendship that later turned into romance. I loved the way they met. I do hope maybe one of these books piqued your interest. I feel like I'm saying recommendations wrong. If you have any book recommendations for me, please leave it down in the comments below. I would love any and all book recommendations that you have, whether it's romance, fantasy, historical fiction, mystery, thriller, horror. I do not care. Please leave it all down below. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I hope you have a lovely Friday. Bye!